Why do you believe ESG has not become mainstream?
Well, there are a variety of reasons in the United States. Some are political, but some I'm most familiar with are legal, because I'm a lawyer. And one has to do with the concept of fiduciary duty. Many believe that the concept of fiduciary duty applies only to short-term returns. That is, one satisfies one's fiduciary duty if one receives proper short-term returns. But that's false. If we do a little intellectual history and we look at the concept of fiduciary duty, it has a long historical life, and it basically means that the trustees or ones who manage money need to do the best they can for the beneficiaries of that money. And they need to do that in a holistic way. And so certain concepts are very important. The concept that the trustee is loyal to the beneficiary, that they're impartial, that they don't double deal, that they use transparency, but it's a kind of common sense. But fiduciary duty has been used to say that concerns of sustainability and responsibility cannot be used in pension funds in the United States. Some people think that in Europe that's not the case. An important report was put out by a law firm called Freshfields, which seemed to say that, yet there still are leaders in the European pension fund community who claim that fiduciary duty applies only to financial returns and that somehow sustainability is just a layer on top of that, and that's incorrect. To truly provide a proper fiduciary duty to one's beneficiaries, one must look for financial returns to be sure, but they must do it in a way that's sustainable and that's holistic and that helps the beneficiaries as much as possible. That's a problem in the United States, but it's one that could be easily dealt with because there is very little law that has this conservative view of fiduciary duty. There are very few legal cases that say that. And so it's really a question of lawyers who represent the funds have the courage to do what their trustees want to do in terms of seeing fiduciary duty as a way to do the best job overall for the beneficiaries.
In what time do you think this can change?
Myself and some of my colleagues are working on that now. Part of the problem is that lawyers are a conservative body of people, and we're trying to build a movement among lawyers to think about this in a different way and therefore to give this information to their clients. But for many lawyers in the United States who advise trustees, we call them the lawyers of Dr. No, after the movie, because anytime a trustee wants to do anything in terms of sustainability or responsibility, the lawyer says, well, no, we can't do that. Yet often there are no cases, no law, nothing from judges saying that that can't be done. But the lawyers tend to take this conservative viewpoint.
But the idea of in 5 years, in 10 years, it will change, or is it much longer?
It certainly could change in 5 or 10 years. Part of it has to do with the politics. In the United States, one of the most important laws for private pension funds is called ERISA, and regulations that apply to ERISA are given out by the government. When you have a conservative government, they give very conservative regulations. When you have a more liberal government, they give more liberal regulations. But unfortunately, because we have an election coming up in the United States, these regulators have been unwilling to make any changes in this.
Do you think Europe is doing better than the United States?
Europe is doing better, but the problem is not completely taken care of in Europe by any means. And it involves the historical way that we look at fiduciary duty. It also involves the issue of long-term versus short-term, because there are still people that advocate that one must look at short-term financial returns in order to fulfill one's fiduciary duty. And that's the case even in Europe today, and that's incorrect.